Hey everyone, welcome back to TeacherFYI. If you're new here, I'm Mackenzie and I teach 5th grade in Northern California. First of all, thank you so much for supporting this new channel. A special shout out to my first subscribers. You're the reason that other teachers have been able to find this video. I do upload new teaching tips every week, so if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to click that subscribe button. And if you find any of these videos helpful, please be sure to share with all your teacher friends. If you've enjoyed any of my videos so far, it will really help this channel out if you go ahead and click that like button so these videos can reach even more teachers. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 10 more games and activities you can play with your students on Zoom during morning meeting. Let's get into it. So the first game is Name, Animal, Place, Thing. So for this game, I spin the alphabet spinner to choose a letter. My students then use the chat box to type up their responses, and they have 1 minute to think of a name, a place, an animal, and a thing that begins with that letter. Once the timer runs out, they need to press enter to reveal their responses in the chat. The students get 10 points if they thought of an answer that nobody else thought of, and they get 5 points if they got an answer that matched some of their classmates. This works as a great vocabulary building game and a game of memory. The second game to play with your students online is Virtual I Spy. So for this game, you're actually going to change your Zoom backgrounds. You can fill it with different objects, ones related to either vocabulary you're working on or maybe another topic you're working on in class, and then you start giving your students clues once you have chosen an object from your background. For example, you might say, I spy with my little eye something that is a sphere. I spy with my little eye something that starts with B. Then after I give my students a couple of clues, they then can ask me yes or no questions to find out more about the object I'm thinking of. Once the students think that they know what the object is, they give me a thumbs up reaction, and once I've seen enough students with their thumbs up showing me that they think they know what the object is, students take turns guessing about what object I was spying on. Activity 3 is Alibi. So to play this game, I spin the wheel and that person becomes the detective. So the detective cannot listen while the rest of the class thinks of a silly crime. They also choose one perpetrator of that crime, and everybody has to think of an alibi. Now, when the detective comes back into the Zoom call, the class shares what silly crime has been committed. For example, it could be that while everybody was at recess, someone came in and changed the backgrounds on everybody's Chromebooks to Elsa from Frozen. The detective then has to ask each person in the Zoom call, where were you at the time of the crime? That's when each classmate takes turns sharing where they were at the time of the crime. The detective has to listen very closely because the guilty student is the only student that will have changed their alibi. For example, the first round of asking, the guilty student might say,
at the time of the crime, I was playing Foursquare.
And then the second round of asking, they might say,
at the time of the crime, I was helping my sister bake cookies.
So it was the detective's job to notice which student changed their alibi. My students always have a lot of fun with this one, thinking up a really silly crime, and it's also great language building skills as they're thinking of their own alibis to share with the class. Activity 4 is Secret Squad. So for this game, I do recommend that you tell your students to be in grid view so they can see everybody on their screen. I then privately chat 3 students in the class that they are part of the Secret Squad. Now everyone, including the Secret Squad, has to hold up an object to the web camera. So this could be a stuffed animal, it could be a piece of school supplies. For about 1 minute, their job is to study each of their classmates' items that they are holding up to the screen. Once I say objects down, they all take them out of view. Once all objects are out of view, I have my students lift up their objects one more time to hold up to the camera. Now, if you were part of the Secret Squad, you are the only ones who needed to change their object. The rest of the class needs to figure out who was part of the Secret Squad by paying close attention to who changed their object. Once they think they know who was part of it, they give a thumbs up reaction and they take turns sharing out who they think was part of the Secret Squad. Activity 5 is a classic, and that is 2 Truths and a Lie, Kahoot edition. So for this game, I had my students fill out a Google form where they write 2 facts and 1 lie about themselves to teach their classmates a little bit about themselves. Students then take turns sharing throughout the week their 2 truths and a lie, and for students to guess, they just hold up their fingers 1, 2, or 3 about which fact they think is the lie. Once everyone has had a chance to share, I then use those Google Forms I had them fill out and create a Kahoot quiz to play with the class to see how well they remember the facts about their classmates. The sixth game is counting cameras. So to play this game, I do have my students all on grid view and all of their cameras need to be on. Then the teacher chooses the number 1 through however many students are in your class, and that becomes the target number. So the target number is the amount of cameras that need to be left on. So for example, if you have 20 students and you say 12, then 12 students need to leave their cameras on and 8 students need to turn their cameras off. Now the tricky part is the students need to figure out how to reach that target number without talking to each other. This can get tricky, so usually the first time I play with my students, I do let them talk to each other so that they can get the hang of turning their cameras off and trying to reach that target number. And then the second round, they try to do it without talking so that they can practice those nonverbal communication skills. It definitely can be a challenge, but your class really does work together to try to get that target number. So game 7 is Boggle. So if you're not familiar with Boggle, it is a word game where you try to create as many words as you can using a Boggle board. Now Boggle boards are really easy to create. You can easily insert a table into a Google slide using a 4x4 or a 5x5 grid and insert your own letters. I really do like creating my own Boggle board so that I can also incorporate some spelling patterns that my students are working on. The only rule to create the words is that the letters need to be touching, so they can go horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. I share the screen with my students showing the Boggle board, and I set a timer for about 2 minutes. And my students use the chat box to type as many words as they can using the letters in the Boggle board. Once the 2 minutes is up, they press enter and they share however many words they were able to make. They can get 2 points for 3-letter words and more points as the words become longer. There are some Boggle board generators online. Like I said, I like to create my own so I can tie it in with what we're doing in class. So to save you some time, I did create free Boggle board templates that I put in my TPT store, and I'll link those down in the description box below. Game 8 is zoomed in. So using pictures of animals or other objects, you start out zoomed in super closely. And as you slowly zoom the picture out, students try to guess that animal. I usually just have my students type in the chat box what they think the animal is and see how quickly they can guess it. So you can find some really high quality images on websites like Pixabay, where you can download free images and that will make them less pixelated when you're zoomed super into the photo. Game 9 is Sparkle. So Sparkle was a game I loved playing in my classroom. It was when my students would all stand in a circle and then they would be practicing their spelling words by taking turns spelling each letter of the word. Now this is still possible to do on Zoom. I just use Jamboard with sticky notes and show each of their names in a circle. The visual has worked great for my students to see where they are in a circle so they know who they come after when playing the game. So the rules of Sparkle is you say a spelling word and then each student says one letter of that spelling word. So for example, if the spelling word was boat, the first person would say B, the next person O, A, T, and then the rest of the class does need to be paying attention so they know what letter comes next. And also, if they know the word is completely spelled, the next person says sparkle. If they say sparkle, they are safe. Unfortunately, the person that comes right after the sparkle person is out of the game. So to show that on Zoom, if they are out, I just click their sticky note and drag it to the middle of the circle. And then we keep going until there is only one person left as the winner. As we are playing, the students are really good about cheering each other on if they are out, and it is a game of luck and also practicing those spelling words. Activity 10 is out of view. So for out of view, you choose an object and have it out of view of the camera. Then you're able to describe the item to your students, and their job is to try to guess what that item is. I love playing this game because you can really tie it in using that academic vocabulary, descriptive language, using physical properties if you're talking about a science object, and keeping that out of view from your students so that they're really listening. After you're done describing the item, students then give their guess about what they think that item is in the chat box, or they can share out. I do like to play this one in breakout rooms too, where my students get a chance to have an object out of view that they're describing to their classmates, and then their small group is able to try to guess their mystery item. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and you now have more games and activities you can play with your students during morning meeting. Remember, it's all about creating that connection and joy and having fun with your students to start off the day on a fun note. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you next time. Bye everyone.